Hello everybody and welcome back to part 8 of What If Peter Parker Was in My Hero Academia. This series that combines the Marvel and MHA universes through the lens of Peter Parker. Like he's the main character in this version, although the story of Midoriya still goes along parallel to this one. In this episode, we're gonna have some nice adventures in the forest with new people attacking and new people getting the spotlight and finding out about people. That said, please hit that like button, subscribe, it helps me out a bunch. I'm not gonna do the typical thing where YouTubers show you the percentages. I'm just going to ask you if you want more of this, if you want to stay tuned, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, comment something on the video. I'll likely see the comments. I see most of them, I think all of them, but I'm going to say most just to be safe. And yeah, please check out my Discord too in the description below if you want to talk to me or ask questions or whatever. You can ask them there too. That said, I hope you all enjoy the video after that intro. After going to New York, Peter and company returned to Japan, having to attend this forest training camp. While the heroes in training were on vacation in Island and New York respectively, the villains started moving around and amassing their forces as new villains started to join the league. At home, Peter packs his bags, kisses his aunt, and leaves the house. He heads to UA, where upon arriving he greets everyone and is greeted back. Moments later, after everyone arrives, Aizawa walks in front of the class, getting their attention. You finished up your first semester at UA. I hope you've all enjoyed your free time, because from this point, you heroes in the making won't be getting much rest. This camp will push you beyond your limits. You're aiming to become plus ultra, says Aizawa to inspire the class, but also warn them. Yes, sir, responds the class in unison, still excited for the days ahead. Well, this is gonna be fun, says Kitty. It should prove to be. After handling those villains in New York, I doubt we'll come across anything too dangerous. That said, I get the feeling that it's going to be an exhausting experience, comments Peter. We should at least hope to improve a lot, comments Clayton in passing. I guess so, responds Peter. Monoma tries to start beef with Class A, but is stopped by Kendo. Both classes board their respective buses and set off, heading to the camp. On the trip over, Peter sits next to Midoriya. Not having much to talk about, he asks, So, how was Island? It was great, answers Midoriya, later elaborating on the details. Peter freaks out a bit that Midoriya met David's shield and takes a couple notes to research Melissa's shield and the full gauntlet tech after, being very interested in the subject. After an hour of driving the bus, the students, thinking it's just an opportunity for them to stretch their legs, step out of the bus. Peter stretches a bit as Mineta runs along looking for a bathroom. Aizawa then reveals the actual reason they stopped there, with the wild pussycat stepping out of a car. Midoriya freaks out over seeing these heroes in front of him listing all their stats, which angers them. That's Midoriya for you, thinks Peter watching everything unfold. Bandalay points at the camp and explains where it is. Peter's spider sense goes off. As it does, he thinks, crap, I left my web shooters in the bus. Many students start running towards the bus, knowing that the heroes wouldn't let them retreat there. Peter keeps his distance. Pixie Bob creates a dirt wave to push the students away. Peter, having seen it coming, runs and jumps into the woods himself in order to be able to land better. He maneuvers around the trees, landing in a manner to reduce damage. Kitty, however, is the only student to have not been thrown down. It seems I missed someone, comments Pixie Bob, seeing her. She gets ready to throw her again, but before she does, Aizawa stops her, saying her quirk allows her to go intangible. I wouldn't suggest doing that. He looks at Kitty, canceling her quirk. Go ahead. he then says, walking back towards the bus as Pixie Bob throws her down with the others. Good news! Since this is private land, you can use your quirks as much as you want. You have 3 full hours. You should be able to make it through to the facility in that time. That is if you can make it through Beast Forest, informs Mandalay. Upon having landed, Mineta runs into the forest looking for a secluded area to pee. However, he's attacked by a dirt monster. Midoriya manages to jump in and move Mineta out of the way in time. Moments after, Peter jumps down from a tree, breaking the dirt monster's head. Didn't expect that, comments Peter. It's made of dirt. I thought it was an animal with a quirk or something. More and more monsters show up, which leads the many capable students of the class to speed into the action and take them down, which excites Pixie Bob. Listen up, everyone, shouts Yaoyorozu. We have no choice aside from cutting through these woods using the shortest possible route. Okay, let's go, Class A, commands Ida. The students run through the woods, fighting the monsters off. The students that stand out the most are Peter, Midoriya, Ida, Todoroki, Bakugo, Kamala, Laura, and even Kitty, who learned from her last fight with villains in New York. Peter and Clayton even have a friendly competition where they try to destroy more monsters than the other. Because he's in such an environment without his equipment, Peter finds himself having to force his organic webbing, which does hurt him, but he pushes past the pain in order to defeat these monsters and move around better. At 4:12 p.m., the students, tired and overtaxed, arrive at the training camp. I thought you said it'd only take 3 hours, asks Peter, falling to the floor. I can't feel my arms. Sorry, I guess we timed you based on our time, apologizes Mandalay while bragging at the same time. I thought it would take you even longer, but you did a lot better against my dirt monsters than I thought you would, says Pixie Bob. Particularly those 8. It seems like you bunch have had quite a bit of experience. She calls dibs on them and tries to groom them. Laura gets annoyed of that quickly, so she pops her claws out and points them at the pro, which gets her to back off. Midoriya spots a child and introduces himself to him, but is hit in the nuts as Kota leaves. Once your bags are in your rooms, we'll go to the cafeteria and eat. After that, you guys bathe and sleep. Tomorrow, your training begins in earnest. You better get a move on, says Aizawa while entering the building. The students then eat dinner and later go take a bath. Once they step into the bath, the girls notice the amount of scars that Laura has on her body. Where are all of those from? Asks Kitty, worried while inspecting them. Laura answers, training, while shrugging away. I'm guessing it's a touchy subject, comments Uraraka. How have we not noticed those before? Asks Ashido once Laura's out of earshot. She usually keeps to herself. Even in the changing room, she goes to a secluded area, answers Tsuyu. She said she got those during training, right? Doesn't she heal wounds? What kind of training did she go through? Asks Kamala. A very intense one would guess, answers Yaoyorozu. Both sides of the fence take a bath, with Mineta trying to sneak a peek at the girls, but he's stopped by Kota, who then, upon seeing the girls, faints and falls over. He's then saved by Izuku. Izuku takes him to Mandalay to make sure he's okay, where he finds out about the kid's backstory. The next day, the students of Class 1A get up bright and early in order to begin their training. Aizawa hands Bakugo a softball and asks him to demonstrate a throw. He throws, but the improvement the class expected isn't there, which leads Aizawa to explain why and tell them that they'll be training their bodies and quirks for the duration of the training camp. Aizawa then puts everyone to work. He places blindfolds on both Peter and Laura for the day, having them fight against each other. In this exercise, Peter is supposed to rely solely on his spider sense in order to evade, and Laura, without using her claws, is meant to rely on her heightened senses and improve her use of them in a combat situation. This exercise also allows her to train against more acrobatic opponents. Kitty is put into some pure muscle training, as her quirk is versatile enough, but her body needs to be improved upon. Clayton trains his sonic attacks, strengthening his bones by getting them used to low-level frequencies for a long time. This is also to improve his stamina and other facets. Kamala's training relies on her stretching her body as much as she can. She stretches and contorts into many different shapes in order to improve her elasticity. After lunch, the students' training gets moved around as they try different things. Kitty's used for target practice as the students with long-range attacks have to hit her, with her only making specific parts of her body intangible instead of her whole body. This should allow for better combat capabilities. Peter, having been forbidden from using his gadgets, trains using his organic webs, trying to hit Kitty. By overusing them, it should become less painful over time. Kamala does some physical training, and Clayton is trained with control, making some more potent attacks last less for efficiency. Laura, being very skilled with her quirk, continues training blindfolding, fighting this time against multiple opponents as they train against her. She's meant to adapt her battle strategy to the individual she's fighting, even without looking. After training ends, the students train in a different fashion, learning how to cook. Peter, having practiced a bit with his brothers, knows a bit what he's doing, but isn't particularly good at it. At one point while having dinner, Peter notices that Midoriya's gone, but doesn't give it much thought. The next day, the training continues. Peter is subjected to more physical training, made to do a routine while blindfolded, even having to go on a run through the woods. This day, Bakugo tests his explosions on Laura, as she trains to better her regeneration abilities and her knockback resistance. Kamala trains a bit in size shifting and elasticity, and Clayton keeps on practicing with his sonic blasts, being told to use it to hover above the ground for an extended period of time. Kitty continues training the way to use her quirk and reaction time, learning to activate it in specific spots and under time pressure. Once training is finished, the students are excited to do the test of courage, but Aizawa disappoints the remedial students by telling them that they are continuing training. Lots are drawn for the teams and the tests begin. Once the fifth group departs, 20 minutes after the game starts, something happens. A gas appears in the middle of the forest as, in another, a fire starts. Laura starts sniffing the air around. "What is it?" asks Peter, who was paired up with her and sent into the woods as the fifth set. "The scent seems familiar," says Laura. "There's also weird gas close to us. It seems like sleeping gas." "You know, you talk so little it's weird when you actually do. Not to mention your enhanced senses, they're actually very creepy," comments Peter. "We should head back," comments Laura. "Why?" asks Peter. "Villains," answers Laura. "Okay, yeah, we should head back," Peter agrees. They both start heading back to camp, wanting to get to safety. In another part of the forest, where they started the tests from, villains show up attacking the Pussycats. Mandalay orders the students back to camp, with Midoriya telling her he knows where Koda is, so he goes get him, running to a villain once he finds him. As they walk back to camp, Peter's spider sense suddenly goes off, just as Laura picks up a nearby scent. They both turn around. As they do, Peter gets tackled into a tree by a flying man, by the vulture. He tries to bite Peter, but Peter manages to push him off, jumping off onto a tree. Laura tries to assist Peter, but before she can get close, someone pulls her by the arm. "What the?" she wonders out loud, feeling a gooey sensation on her arm. Now, little girl. The kid is ours to play with. So how about you go for a walk?" shouts Venom, flinging her across the forest. Vulture recuperates from the attack. Peter, focusing on the enemy in front of him, shoots a web at the vulture, using his organic webbing. He jumps at the villain, throwing him back with a powerful kick. The vulture, still blinded, flies into the air to get some distance on his attacker. Peter jumps onto a tree, using it to propel himself onto Vulture, forcing him down by shooting two webs at the ground and pulling from them. "Not bad," comments Venom, walking towards Peter. He towers behind Peter with Peter's spider sense going off. Before he can look, Venom grabs Peter by the leg, throwing him against a tree. "I'd say that's enough, wouldn't you?" asks Venom. Vulture, having a moment, manages to break the webbing on his face. "Hey, Vulture, I got this guy. You go cause some more chaos," orders Venom, but the order is completely ignored as Adrian flies onto a tree and watches. Recuperating from the attack, Peter looks up. He stares at a man covered in a gooey black and white suit. This leads Peter to recognize him as his parents' killer. Emotions start surging within him. Emotions such as anger, sadness, and regret, but anger wins out. "Venom," whispers Peter while glaring at his opponent. "Ah, so you can speak, and you've heard of me. Not very surprising. After all, I am wanted worldwide," says Venom. "Tell me something. Those moves, they remind me of the Scarlet Spiders. Any relation?" "You killed them!" screams Peter as he lunges at Venom. "You killed my parents!" Since his moves are driven by emotion, they are easier for Venom to predict. He grabs Peter's arm and breaks it. Peter screams in pain as Venom lifts him up to make eye contact. "So you're their son then, I presume. That's an amusing scream. Reminds me of theirs," comments Venom. Since Venom broke his arm, adrenaline started flowing through Peter, allowing him to focus better on the situation and not get overly emotional. "You aren't going to say anything? You're starting to bore me, kid. Ah, well, time to die," says Venom as he opens his mouth. Peter shoots two webs, one at Venom's mouth and another at his eyes. "Your parents did that exact same thing. Do you really think that's gonna work on me?" asks Venom while catching the webs with some tendrils. Having the opportunity, Peter kicks Venom in the jaw, using his chest to jump back onto a tree. "Hey, slime face, there's more where that came from," quips Peter. Venom smiles and licks his lips as he jumps to slash Peter again. In another part of the forest, Laura lands, hitting a tree, many of her bones having been broken on impact. She takes a moment to heal. The moment she does, she starts running towards where Peter is, wanting to help. However, on the way, someone runs straight at her, trying to slash her. Laura reacts in time, extending her claws and blocking the attack. "Sharp as ever, huh, sister?" asks Bellona. Seeing her there, Laura's eyes widen in surprise. "What did you think? I'd die so easily, Subject 23? Asks the girl, while attacking Laura. Stunned while memories start flashing, Laura can do little more than defend. Laura starts remembering her past. She remembers how she was brutally tortured and molded into being the perfect weapon by the people and scientists of the Weapon Plus program, also known as the Villain Factory. She remembers being trained to serve one man, as well as his allies, taught with a group of peers to obey their every command. She remembers the other students of these experiments and the face of the man who performed them. Memories of her worst days, such as when she was made to kill her own mother and sent on assassination missions, come to mind, along with memories of the best days, such as when the heroes finally found her and came to rescue her, as well as the time her mother would read to her. "What's the matter, Subject 23? Off your game?" asks Bellona, aka Subject 25. "You seem distracted." Laura blocks another hit, pinning Bellona's arms to the ground and slashing at her with her foot. "My name is Laura," she says while gritting her teeth. She jumps into the air, slicing Bellona with her foot and then with two claws in her arms. "Okay, 23, that was pretty cool, I have to admit. I thought you'd be more rusty," Bellona comments while jumping at Laura, already having healed. "Whatever you say, 25, says Laura, evading the attack, maneuvering around it, and taking advantage of an opening. "The name's Bellona," the girl says while managing to block it and counterattack, which forces Laura in the defensive again. While she fights her sister, Laura is forced to remember her past. But as the fight goes on, the memories keep advancing, going from the sad to the happy. She remembers how she was rescued by a group of heroes consisting of All Might, Havoc, Cyclops, Endeavor, and others, storming into the facility. Almost everyone important wasn't there at the time, and those that knew information killed themselves before being captured. But still, it was the day she was rescued, and light was shown onto her dark world. After that, Laura's potential was observed by the Hero Public Safety Commission, and she was inducted into their hero program and trained to save others. However, when she reached the age of 14, and because she lacked several social skills, she was sent to UA High, made to take the normal entrance exam for her to appear more normal, although she ended up with a second spot in the scores. Laura gets the upper hand in the fight as she starts remembering the happy moments in her life. She remembers the days at UA with her classmates. Although I didn't know it, she really appreciated their company. Why am I fighting? She wonders to herself as, again, Bologna gets the upper hand. Why do I even bother? Wouldn't this all be easier if I gave up? There's no way she can kill me, so why am I doing this? More memories start flooding in. Memories of her friends and the fun she had with them, such as when she visited Island with some of them, or when she and some of the girls played cards. The others couldn't really tell because of her demeanor, but she really enjoyed that time they spent together. Their faces come to mind, with Peter's being the last. Wait, Peter, he still needs my help, she thinks. There's no way he'll defeat that slimy guy alone. She charges at Bologna, intent on ending the fight, but Bologna maneuvers around her and stabs Laura through the head. She then retracts the claws and comments, "It seems as though I win this one, sister. Better luck next time," as Laura falls to the ground, unconscious. "It'll probably take you about an hour to heal from that," comments Bologna. "Time's almost up. I better head back. I'd take you with me, but you'd likely try to bust out again. It's not like we can convince you to join us. After all, you were always a goody two-shoes who'd never listen to Master." She then leaves. In another part of the forest, Midoriya, having defeated Muscular and taken Kota to safety, guides Dark Shadow, looking for Todoroki, in order for him to calm him with his flames. In another part, the members of Class B assemble to fight Mustard, with both Kamala and Sam out of the fight. Because of the gas, Tetsu, Kendo, and Liz, thanks to Yaoyorozu's gas masks, make it through the gas, intent on defeating the villain. Many students who decide to head back to the camp arrive to see Vlad King with the students. They defend the area in order to keep themselves safe. Peter keeps evading Venom's attacks, using his training with the Avengers to his advantage. "What's the matter, kid? Cat got your tongue? You were talking a lot more and making more jokes during your little sports festival," notes Venom as he slashes at Peter again. However, at this point, Peter, exhausted from all the dodging, is one step behind, so Venom manages to cut his shirt, making a small cut in his chest. "I finally got a little blood," says Venom, licking his lips while saving the blood in a vial. "Don't know what good that'll do you," comments Peter while jumping on top of Venom. He pivots on him, planting a spider tracer in the moment. He gets behind Venom and manages to push him back using a tree. Venom moves the spider tracer around and asks, "Do you really think this little trick of yours will work on me? Kid, I'm a trained killer. I'm a mass murderer. Do you really think you can stop or track me? The feds and heroes stronger than you have tried for years and failed over and over." Crushing the device in his hand, Venom attacks again. "Oh, I know," responds Peter, pretending to jump into the air. Venom gets ready to block an aerial attack, but Peter, having used his sticky fingers to stick to the ground, he sweeps Venom's legs, throwing him down. Since Venom is on the ground, Vulture flies at Peter, but Peter, relying more on his instincts, jumps over Vulture as he flies, pinning him onto the ground and wedding him to it. You know, kid, this has actually been pretty fun, but we have a schedule to keep, so I'm going to have to cut this short, says Venom while getting up. Venom throws a punch at Peter, which Peter manages to evade. Then he throws another. Peter jumps on top of it, landing on Venom's fist. Venom then goes to grab Peter. Peter tries to jump off, but Venom caught onto him using the symbiote, so Peter's stuck. Venom grabs Peter and with full force punches him against a tree, snapping it in half. Then he throws him against another, then another. Venom throws Peter against the ground, stepping on one of his legs, breaking it. Venom turns to walk away, but Peter gets back up again, saying, Come on, Spider. Man, you got this. I got this. You're tougher than you look, kid, says Venom. He then lets out a chuckle. But seriously, Spiderman? That's your name? Yeah, answers Peter. And I'm amazing. Venom approaches Peter, intent on putting him out of his misery. He punches Peter, but Peter manages to dodge the attack. You got guts, kid. I'll give you that much, says Venom, attacking Peter again. Peter tries to evade, but being so hurt is unable to. Venom punches him with all his strength, sending Peter through 5 trees and hitting the nearby mountain. The impact is so strong that a small boulder falls on Peter. Venom walks towards Peter, retracting his symbiote to show Peter his face. You still alive? Asks Venom, lifting Peter's head. It falls back to the ground. Whatever, doubt you'll survive. Even if you survive the last throw and the boulder, I doubt you'll get out of here alive. Just to make sure, Venom says while whining for a punch. An alarm goes off and Venom pulls out a watch. Have to get going. You're a lucky kid. You get to live through this, says Venom, walking away while his mask comes back on. Vulture walks towards Peter, wanting to eat him, his mouth even watering at the thought. Toombs, time to go, says Venom. Vulture gives a sigh of disappointment and leaves. Moments after they leave, Peter wakes up gasping for air with a sudden surge of adrenaline. Help! Help! He screams in desperation. He's fearing for his life. Help! On the verge of death, his life flashes before his eyes. He remembers everything, every little moment, every stepping stone on his path to becoming Spider-Man. Come on, Spider-Man, come on! Shouts Peter as motivation fills him. Peter musters all his strength, and after a moment of trying, he manages to push the boulder off him. He gets off, and with a trail of blood behind him and dragging his leg, Peter walks towards camp, passing out onto the ground on the way. Minutes later, after the villains left, he's found by the first responders and taken to a hospital for immediate treatment. The villains have won the day, managing to kidnap Bakugo. After undergoing treatment, Peter takes a while to wake up. He's transferred to Musu Tahafu so his aunt can keep an eye on him. There, Gwen, Harry, and Amadeus go visit him, playing some cards with him there. During that time, back near Camino, the rescue group, this time joined by Laura, searches for Bakugo. A fight erupts between the symbol of justice and the symbol of evil. A fight which Peter manages to see on the news while with his friends. During this fight, the group of students manages to rescue Bakugo. All Might ends up winning the fight, but at the cost of his power. The day ends up ultimately saved, but the consequences to the hero's side are dire. And that's the end of the video, which actually I had to stop many times making this because the Venom voice strains my voice, which is hard to do. I wanted to get a voice modifier, but I didn't find any good ones that were free, so sorry about that. That said, I do hope you all enjoyed the whole Laura storyline. I can't get much into detail on it. Like, I can tell you all about it now, which I am going to do, but I couldn't get very into detail because it would have been a lot better if it was from the first person perspective, or if I had used flashbacks, which I didn't do. That said, the idea is like Dr. Ujiko, or I don't remember the other name they gave him, Dr. Garaki? I don't remember. Apologies for that. I tend to pride myself on knowing a lot here, especially of the what ifs I do, but I don't remember his real name. I call him Dr. Ujiko. So yeah. He, along with a couple other people, made the Weapon Plus program, which is the villain factory, as explored also in My Hero Academia Illegals, during the time between Illegals and the main series, since, you know, they were stopped manufacturing the things. The facility moved a bit more underground and became the whole Nomu thing. But still, they created the idea is they created Gigantomachia, number 6, X-23, and all sorts of other people. And X-23 is that's why she's called Subject 23 right now. She's going to go with X-23 as later on, as X means a bit an anonymous thing, or I can be whatever I want to be. I am this different person. And I think it's an interesting storyline I came up with. She was saved by the Hero Public Safety Commission, but she never got along with people, so she was sent to a more normal high school. They thought UA was the best bet, and she was trained enough to get into it, so that's why she went there. Still hope this does reveal a bit more about her backstory, and I hope you guys like her. I didn't like Wolverine's dead at this point. She's her clone, kind of, or she was given his quirk or something. I don't really know the full extent of this. I only know what I came up with, and I hope you guys liked it. As for the Venom thing, I hope my delivery was good. Again, I didn't manage to find a good voice modulator. If I find one in the future, his future voice appearances will be better. Still hope it was good, and the delivery of the character and his whole appearance is good. It's setting up stuff to come. I have a whole plan. I still need to figure out what the end game of the group is, but this is only the first step. There's more to come, people. There's more to come, both in the broader spectrum of the universe, as well as in the just the Spidey thing, because Spidey has to go through the Spider-Verse and will have ramifications on the whole multiversity, which will come again since everything's getting rebooted. Everything's getting rebooted for a reason, people. You can find out more about it after Superboy reaches part 10. And also, technically, it's already been kind of mentioned in part 7 of Omnideku, of What If Midoriya Had the Omnitrix, so you can also check that out if you want. That said, I've been talking for 2 minutes now, or a bit over 2 minutes, and that's my limit. So, see you guys next time, everyone. Hope you have a fantastic day. Please don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe button. You can hit the bell if you want. I've never really pushed on it. I also don't usually go with things saying, hey, only 34% of you are subscribed, so just subscribe if you want. I mean, I want to reach 10K before the end of the year, but do it if you want. It will always help me out. Like if you want more of this series, since it kind of underperforms every single time. And I always expect it to, but I just like Spider-Man. I love this storyline I've come up with. And always leave a comment. I love reading comments. I read all of them, even if I don't always respond. I respond to those that seem like I can respond. I tend to not respond to those suggesting another what if, since my schedule is packed and I don't really have room for much right now. Seeing as I did the math, and it's going to take me a year to get through all my plans. Yeah, that said, you can also check out my Discord to talk to me and all that stuff. Have an absolutely fantastic day, everyone. Enjoy another video, maybe. And that said, bye!